I wasn't supposed to get involved with my roommate's older sister. Honestly, I barely even knew her. She lived upstairs in the same house, quiet, distant, always in her own world. The kind of woman who didn't say much, but when she did, everyone listened. And trust me, I was definitely not the type she'd ever pay attention to. At least, that's what I thought. The night everything shifted started like any other. My roommate, Sam, had gone out with friends, and I was downstairs trying to mind my own business. I had headphones in, half asleep on the couch, until my phone buzzed. I almost ignored it, until I saw the name on the screen. Emma, Sam's older sister. We'd barely spoken outside of polite hellos. She was 6 years older, smarter, more mature, and way out of my league. The kind of woman who looked like she had everything figured out, while I was still trying to decide what to do with my life. So when I saw her name, I sat up instantly. The message was short, only 7 words. But those 7 words were enough to send my heart into my throat. Come upstairs, but don't knock. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. Maybe she meant to text Sam. Maybe she clicked the wrong name. Or maybe, somehow, something was wrong. Because Emma wasn't the type to be mysterious. She wasn't playful, she wasn't flirty, and she definitely wasn't someone who asked me to come upstairs in the middle of the night. I stared at the message for a long minute, overthinking everything. My mind went wild with possibilities. Was she hurt? Did she need help? Was there something going on that I didn't know about? Or was this something I had no business stepping into? But the longer I hesitated, the more uneasy I felt. There was no second message, no explanation, just silence. And silence can be louder than anything. I got up slowly, like even the air felt heavier. My footsteps were soft as I walked toward the stairs, each step sounding louder than the last. By the time I reached the top, I could hear faint movement behind her door. Not talking, not crying, just movement. Soft, restless. Her light was on. My hand hovered a few inches away from the doorframe, careful not to knock. My heart was beating so hard it felt like she could probably hear it from the other side. I whispered, "Emma?" No response. My phone buzzed again, and I flinched. She had texted a second message. "Just open. Please." That one word, please, felt different. Urgent. Emotional. Like she wasn't asking, she was begging. And I had no idea why. I slowly turned the doorknob, not knowing what I was about to walk into, or why she needed me, of all people, at this hour. But the moment the door cracked open, I realized this wasn't a mistake. This was the beginning of something I was completely unprepared for, and something I couldn't turn back from, because what I saw inside that room changed everything. I didn't step all the way inside at first. I just stood there, frozen in the doorway, trying to process what I was seeing. Emma wasn't sitting. She wasn't standing. She was pacing, slow, tight circles in the middle of her room like she'd been trapped in her own thoughts for hours. Her hair was slightly messy, her breathing uneven, and for the first time since I'd moved into this house, she didn't look calm, or collected, or perfectly in control. She looked scared, and Emma never looked scared. When she finally noticed me, she stopped pacing, but she didn't come closer. She just stared, like she was trying to decide where to even begin. And I realized something about her that night. She wasn't distant because she didn't care. She was distant because she carried everything alone. "Close the door," she whispered. I did as she asked, still unsure why I was even there, why she trusted me of all people. We barely interacted. She worked long shifts, came home late, kept to herself. I'd see her in the kitchen sometimes, quietly making tea, never looking rushed, never showing stress. She was the opposite of Sam, her younger brother, who was loud, chaotic, and always dragging me into some kind of mess. Maybe that's why I always noticed her. She was calm in a house full of noise. But tonight, she was the noise. She sat on the edge of her bed and rubbed her hands together like she was trying to warm them, though the room wasn't cold. "I didn't know who else to call," she said softly. I frowned. "Emma, what's going on?" She hesitated, like she was afraid of saying too much. I didn't want to be alone right now. It wasn't the answer I expected. Not even close. And the way she said it, it felt bigger than loneliness. Like something had shaken her deeply. I sat down in the chair near her desk, giving her space but trying to show I wasn't going anywhere until she told me what she needed. It felt strange, being in her room for the first time. There were small things I never noticed before, photos on her shelf, a stack of books by her bedside, a half-finished cup of tea on the table. She wasn't the unreachable, perfect older sister I always imagined. She was human, tired, vulnerable, and for some reason, she chose me. Did something happen with Sam? I asked carefully. She shook her head. With work. Another shake. I couldn't figure it out. Nothing made sense. Why call me instead of her family? Her friends? Anyone closer to her? Then she looked up, and her eyes were glossy, not from crying, but from holding back everything she'd been hiding. There's something I need to tell you, she said. But once I say it, I can't take it back. My stomach tightened. Emma, what is it? She opened her mouth as if ready to confess, but her phone suddenly lit up, vibrating sharply against the wooden nightstand. She froze. Her entire face changed. And the name on that screen was the last person I expected. Emma didn't even reach for her phone. She just stared at the screen like the name itself had grabbed her by the throat. I leaned forward a little, trying to read her expression, but she quickly flipped the phone over, hiding it. That reaction alone told me everything. Whoever was calling, they were the reason she texted me tonight. She swallowed hard, her voice barely steady. I'm sorry. I didn't think he'd call again. The single word that instantly tightened the air in the room. I felt a strange mix of worry and jealousy. Jealousy I had no right to feel. She wasn't mine. She wasn't even someone I should be thinking about this way. She was my roommate's older sister. And yet, I felt it anyway. Emma, I said carefully, is someone bothering you? She looked up at me with this tired, breaking expression. It's complicated. Everything in her tone said it wasn't just complicated, it was painful. Is it your ex? I pressed gently. She hesitated, then nodded very slowly, like admitting it made it real. We broke up a few months ago, but he didn't take it well. At first he was calling to talk, then to fix things. Now he just shows up, or texts at random hours. And tonight, her voice cracked, and she didn't finish the sentence. My chest tightened. Did he come here? She didn't answer immediately, but she didn't have to. Her silence was enough. I didn't want Sam to know, she whispered. He'd lose it. He'd make it worse. I just needed someone who wouldn't judge me, someone who'd stay calm and listen. And that's when it hit me. She didn't call me because we were close. She called me because I was the only safe option she had. Before I could say anything else, her phone buzzed again, this time with a message. The screen lit up despite being face down, revealing just a few words through the translucent case. I know you're not alone. Emma inhaled sharply, staring at the glowing text like it was a threat carved onto her wall. I stood up instinctively, my pulse racing. Emma, how would he know that? She didn't answer. The phone buzzed again. Another message. Her face went completely pale as she whispered, he's outside. For a moment, I honestly thought I misheard her. The words didn't register. They just floated there, cold and unreal, until my brain finally caught up. He's outside. I repeated. Emma didn't blink. She didn't move. She just stared at the message as if any sudden movement might make things worse. The room suddenly felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. I stepped toward the window, but she grabbed my wrist, not roughly, but with a kind of desperate tightness. Don't look, she whispered. That's when I understood. This wasn't just an unwanted ex. This was someone unpredictable, someone she was genuinely afraid of. My heartbeat was loud enough that I was sure she could hear it. I lowered my voice. Has he ever come here before? Once, she murmured. But he never texted anything like this. I looked at her trembling hands. This woman who always seemed put together, steady, responsible. Seeing her like this, it rattled me more than the messages. The phone buzzed again, then again, 3 times in a row. Each vibration felt like a punch in the silence. Emma squeezed her eyes shut. He knows my lights are on. He probably saw me moving. Maybe he thinks I'm ignoring him. Then let's call Sam, I said. No, she shook her head quickly. He'll storm outside and fight him. Or call his friends. Or make it worse. I don't want that. Then the police. No, she said again, even faster this time. You don't understand. If they show up, he'll blame me. He'll keep coming back. I can't start something I can't end. Her fear wasn't loud. It was quiet, heavy, layered with history I didn't know yet. Okay, I said softly. Then what do you want me to do? She looked at me with a shaky breath, and for the first time, she seemed to trust that I wasn't going to push her or run off or tell her what to do. She stepped closer, her voice barely audible. Just stay here, please. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't dramatic. It was human, raw, scared, honest. The floorboards creaked faintly from the hallway outside the room. Not from downstairs. From upstairs. From directly outside her door. Emma's head snapped up. My blood went cold. That? I whispered. Was that him? No, she breathed. He wouldn't come inside. He doesn't have a key. We both listened. The house was too quiet. Too still. Every sound felt magnified. The soft hum of the heater. The faint ticking of her clock. The distant passing of a car on the street. Then, another sound. Louder. Heavier. Not from outside. Not from the hallway. From downstairs. Slow footsteps. Someone was in the house. Emma covered her mouth, eyes wide and terrified. My body tensed instinctively, listening with every nerve I had. Then the footsteps stopped. The silence that followed was worse than the sounds. Emma whispered, almost shaking, "That's not him." I stared at her, my pulse pounding. If it wasn't her ex, then who was downstairs? And why were they moving toward us? The footsteps started again, slow, deliberate, like whoever was downstairs knew exactly where they were going. Emma clutched my arm, her breath trembling against my shoulder. I could practically feel the questions racing through her mind, the same ones pounding through mine. If it wasn't her ex, then who else could have gotten inside? Before I could move, Emma's phone buzzed again. But this time, the message wasn't from her ex. It was from Sam. "Bro, are you in the house right now?" My heart dropped. Emma grabbed the phone from my hand, confused. Why would Sam ask that? Another message appeared instantly, like Sam was typing in panic. I just got home. The front door was wide open. Emma's face drained of color. The footsteps upstairs grew louder. Then, another buzz. From Sam. "Tell me you're not upstairs. Someone else is." Emma's eyes met mine. Fear turning into something deeper, something colder. Because now there weren't two men involved. There were three. Emma's unpredictable ex outside. Sam entering from the front door, and a third, unknown person already inside the house, moving closer to Emma's room. And none of us had any idea who the third person was. The footsteps stopped right outside Emma's room. For a second, neither of us breathed. I put a finger to my lips, signaling Emma to stay behind me, even though I had no idea what I was going to do if that door opened. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it echoed in the walls. Then, 3 sharp knocks. Not loud, not violent, just deliberate. Emma's hand clung to my shirt. "Who's there?" I whispered through the door, trying to keep my voice steady. Silence. Then a low voice answered. "Open the door." It wasn't Sam. It wasn't her ex. It wasn't anyone I recognized. I stepped back, ready to grab something. Anything, when the doorknob slowly turned. Emma gasped and grabbed my arm. But before the door opened fully, "Hey!" Sam's voice thundered up the stairs. Heavy footsteps sprinted toward us as Sam charged down the hallway. The door slammed shut from the outside, and we heard the unknown intruder bolt the opposite way, running toward the back stairs. "Emma, open up," Sam yelled. I threw open the door. Sam burst in, chest heaving, eyes wild. "There's someone else in the house." I saw him. Black jacket. Hood up. He ran when I came upstairs. Emma covered her mouth, shaking. Sam grabbed her into a hug, then turned to me. "Call the police. Now." This time, Emma didn't protest. Her ex wasn't the only threat anymore. As Sam ran downstairs after the intruder, I dialed 15 with trembling fingers. I could hear doors slamming, footsteps, Sam shouting, but no answer. The intruder had slipped out through the backyard. Within minutes, police arrived. They checked the house, took statements, and promised to patrol the area for Emma's ex and the unknown man. The moment the officers left, Emma finally broke down, quiet, exhausted tears she had probably been holding back for months. I sat next to her, gently placing a hand on her back. She didn't push me away. If anything, she leaned closer. "I'm sorry I dragged you into this," she whispered. "You didn't drag me," I told her. "You called me because you needed someone. I'm glad it was me." Her breathing slowed. The house felt still again. Safe, even. Until her phone buzzed one last time. A message. Not from her ex. Not from Sam. From an unknown number. "Next time, I won't leave empty-handed." Emma's eyes widened. And just like that, the night wasn't over. The police didn't leave after that last message. The second they saw it, everything shifted. What happened earlier was no longer treated as a break-in attempt or a misunderstanding. It became a targeted threat. One aimed not just to scare, but to warn. Emma sat on the couch, wrapped in Sam's hoodie, staring at the message like it was a shadow she couldn't step out of. Sam paced, furious, whispering curses under his breath. I stood near the door, trying to stay calm, trying to be steady, because she needed steady more than anything. When the officers finally left for good, the house fell into a deep, tired quiet. Sam insisted on sleeping in the living room with a bat in his hand, just in case. It would have looked funny if the night hadn't been so dark. I walked upstairs with Emma. She didn't ask me to come, but she didn't ask me to stay behind either. When we reached her room, she paused at the doorway. "Thank you," she whispered. "You don't have to thank me." She shook her head. "No, I do. I thought I was handling everything on my own. I thought needing help made me weak." I stepped closer, careful, not wanting to overwhelm her. "It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human." Something softened in her eyes, something quiet, honest, and tired. She took a slow breath and finally sat on the edge of her bed, letting some of the weight fall off her shoulders. For the first time since the night started, she looked like herself again. The officers had explained the situation clearly. The unknown number wasn't her ex. It wasn't Sam. It wasn't anyone connected to them. The intruder was likely a thief, or someone who wandered into the wrong home and panicked when Sam appeared. The message afterward? The police believed it was just a scare tactic, a way to feel in control after being caught. But to Emma, none of that erased the fear. I sat down beside her, leaving enough space so she didn't feel crowded. "You don't have to stay alone tonight," I said carefully. "I can sit out in the hallway. Or downstairs. Whatever makes you feel comfortable." She looked at me for a long moment, really looked. The kind of look that holds gratitude and exhaustion and something unspoken. "Stay," she whispered. "Just stay here. I don't want to be alone right now." Not romantic, not suggestive, just human. So I stayed. We didn't talk about her ex, or the intruder, or the messages. We just sat there in the quiet, letting the storm settle. Eventually, she leaned her head gently against my shoulder, not asking for anything, not promising anything, just letting herself rest. And in that small moment, I realized something. Sometimes the people who seem the strongest are the ones holding themselves together the hardest. And sometimes all they need is someone who won't walk away. The mystery of the intruder would take time to unravel. The fear from her ex would take time to heal. But that night, in that quiet room, something changed between us. Not because of danger, not because of fear, but because, when everything fell apart, she chose me to sit beside her while it pieced itself back together. And that choice meant more than either of us could say.